Welcome to the Global War Watch Network. Today, we are looking at a huge shift in the global arms trade. It's a story about how one of the world's biggest buyers of military hardware is, believe it or not, quickly becoming a major seller. If you like clear, no-nonsense explainers just like this one, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. For decades, the story of India's military was all about what it bought. We're talking Russian jets, French submarines, you name it, it was one of the world's top customers. But that story is changing, and it's changing fast. So the big question is, how on earth did a top arms importer suddenly pivot to become a rising exporter? That's what we're going to break down today. To really get how this happened, we've got to first appreciate the sheer scale of this change. The numbers alone paint an absolutely stunning picture of growth and ambition. Okay, let's start with the headline figure right here. In the last financial year, India's defense exports rocketed to a record 38,424 crore rupees. Now, to put that in perspective for everyone, that's over 4.6 billion US dollars. That is an absolutely unprecedented number for the country's defense industry. And listen, this wasn't just some small, gradual increase. As you can see right here, that number represents a massive 62% jump in a single year. In the world of complex, long-term defense deals, that kind of explosive growth is, well, it's pretty much unheard of. And it gets even more dramatic when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Just over a decade ago, India's exports were a mere 686 crores. Today's figure? That's a surge of more than 50 times that amount. This is no short-term bump. It's a fundamental tectonic shift. Right. A surge like that just doesn't happen by accident. So what's really driving it? Well, this incredible growth is actually the result of a very deliberate, very calculated set of government policies, all aimed at one thing: creating a self-reliant defense sector. And at the very heart of this strategy is a concept called Atmanirbhar Bharat, which basically translates to self-reliant India. It's this big national push to design, develop, and most importantly, manufacture critical technology at home, especially in a super sensitive area like defense. And this wasn't just talk. This philosophy was put into action with three really key reforms. First, the government started saying, hey, for certain gear, you can only buy it from Indian companies. Second, they swung the door wide open for more foreign investment. And third, they took a machete to the red tape and radically simplified the whole process for getting export licenses. The result of all this is that these policies aren't just on paper anymore. They are translating into actual advanced hardware that's being sold all around the world. So let's take a look at the impressive gear that now makes up India's growing export catalog. And, the export basket is surprisingly diverse. We're not just talking about simple equipment here. India is now exporting highly sophisticated systems like the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile, its own homegrown Tejas fighter jet, advanced artillery, and even modern naval patrol vessels. It's the real deal. Yeah, take the Pinaka rocket launcher, for instance. This is a perfect example of a system that's been proven in the field. After years of successful use by the Indian Army, it's now a credible, high-tech export. And its ability to just saturate a target area with firepower, that's a huge selling point for international customers. Exactly. And what all this really shows is that the portfolio is just getting deeper. It's offering solutions for land, sea, and air. We're seeing everything from complex coastal surveillance systems to helicopters and warships. It's proof that the country's defense industrial base is really maturing and fast. And hey, it's not just India praising its own systems. In the defense world, customer feedback is everything. This is a direct quote from the Philippines military chief about the BrahMos missile. When a major buyer calls your product a critical element of their national defense strategy, well, that's about as powerful an endorsement as you can get on the world stage. But here's where the story takes a really fascinating turn. Because while this export success is completely undeniable, it actually doesn't paint the full picture. The reality on the ground is, well, it's a lot more complex. Because this is the paradox, right? At the exact same time India is celebrating these record-breaking exports, it also holds the title of the world's second largest arms importer. So how can it possibly be both at once? This chart gives us a major clue. While India's historic reliance on Russia is going down, it still makes up a massive 40% of its arms imports. Why? Because for the most advanced, cutting-edge systems, we're talking next-gen fighter jets or missile defense shields, developing that stuff from scratch takes decades. So for now, importing is the only way to fill those critical security gaps. The other part of this complexity is transparency, or really, the lack of it. So while the total export number is made public, the detailed breakdown isn't. We don't officially know the exact value of specific deals, or even which products drove this year's record surge. That lack of public data makes a complete, independent analysis of this growth really, really difficult. So when you look at it that way, it's not really a contradiction. It's probably better to see it as a country that's in transition. India is strategically exporting the systems it can build confidently and at scale, while at the very same time, it's importing that super high-end, critical technology it still needs to modernize its own forces. All of which brings us to the future. With all this incredible momentum, what are India's ambitions now? And what are the big challenges it's going to face on the road ahead? Well, the government has set a very clear and, I have to say, incredibly ambitious goal to hit 50,000 crore rupees, that's roughly $6 billion US, in defense exports by the year 2029. Achieving that would firmly place it among the world's really significant arms suppliers. But getting there is not going to be a walk in the park. There are some serious hurdles. India has to move up the value chain, selling more big-ticket items like fighter jets, not just components. Its products have to compete on quality and price in a pretty ruthless global market. Improving that data transparency is going to be key to building global confidence. And finally, becoming a major arms supplier means you have to learn to navigate some very, very tricky geopolitical waters. Which really leaves us with this final, central question. The journey so far has been nothing short of remarkable, but the biggest test is definitely yet to come. Can India successfully manage this dual identity, being both a top buyer and a top supplier, to become a true global power in the defense industry? And that's all for this explainer. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this breakdown useful, please help our channel grow by hitting those like and subscribe buttons. It really helps. But we want to know what you think. Can India actually pull this off and hit its ambitious goals? Let us know down in the comments section below. And be sure to join the conversation on our social media channels. All the links for that are in the description. We'll see you in the next one.